Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling something pretty big.
Yeah.
The future of technology,
Mm-hmm.
but not like the fun stuff,
Yeah.
like jetpacks and flying cars.
Yeah.
We're going deep on what Mustafa Suleyman calls the coming wave
Right.
in his book. Well, of course, it's the
right.
same name.
Makes sense. And
It's a wave that's building quickly
Yeah.
with all these advancements in AI, synthetic biology,
yeah.
robotics. It's all kind of converging.
Yeah, it feels like every day there's some new headline about some crazy breakthrough.
Absolutely.
But how do we make sure this wave lifts us up
Right.
and doesn't, crash down on us?
Yeah.
That's the big question we're trying to answer in this deep dive.
And Suleyman argues that we have a real problem.
Okay.
A containment problem.
Containment.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to bottle up a tsunami.
Exactly. He uses this analogy of a wave to show how powerful and relentless
Yeah.
technological progress is throughout history.
And he points to the printing press. Back in the 15th century,
Wow.
the Ottoman Empire,
Okay.
they tried to ban it.
Really?
Yeah, they saw it as this threat to their power.
And I'm guessing that didn't really work out for them.
Well, they couldn't hold back the
Yeah.
tide,
Yeah.
the printing press, just like a lot of groundbreaking technologies
Yeah.
spread like wildfire,
Right.
reshaping societies as it went.
So are we basically powerless against this coming wave?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Suleyman does point to one
Okay.
interesting example,
Okay.
nuclear weapons.
Yeah. Okay.
We've managed to partially contain them through international treaties
Right.
and that very real fear of mutually assured destruction.
So the threat of just total annihilation
Yeah.
is what keeps things in check.
Right.
That's a pretty sobering thought.
Yeah.
But with AI, synthetic biology, robotics,
Yeah.
there isn't that same kind of immediate
Right.
existential threat.
Yeah, and these technologies are rapidly becoming cheaper, more
Yeah.
powerful, and much more accessible.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what makes containing them so much harder.
Okay, so we can't just, wish these technologies away. We need to understand them.
Yes.
We need to see the pitfalls
Absolutely.
and then try to,
Spear them
steer them in a good direction.
in the right direction, yeah.
Yeah.
And a great place to start is with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
It's something that Suleyman knows really well,
Yeah.
having co-founded DeepMind,
Right.
the company behind AlphaGo.
AlphaGo, that's the AI that beat the world champion Go player.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was big news.
it was a big deal.
Yeah, it seemed like a turning point.
It was. And for Suleyman, it was a wake-up call.
Okay.
AlphaGo showed that AI could surpass human capabilities, but that it could also do it so fast.
Yeah.
Remember, Go was considered too complex for AI to master for decades.
So it shattered everyone's expectations
Yeah.
for what AI could do,
Oh, look.
how fast it could do it.
Exactly. And it's only sped up since then.
Oh, wow.
AlphaGo's successors, AlphaZero, MuZero,
Okay.
learned to play Go at superhuman level
Wow.
without any human input.
That's wild.
Just imagine what that kind of self-learning applied to other fields would look like.
Yeah, it's kind of exhilarating.
It is.
And terrifying at the same time.
For sure.
I was like, are we building something we can't control?
That's a common fear.
Yeah.
It's why Suleyman, even though he's at the forefront of AI,
Right.
is so focused on this containment problem.
Okay.
He really understands the dangers.
So if we can't stop the wave,
Right.
how do we surf it?
Yeah.
Like, what concrete steps can we take
Yeah.
to mitigate the risks, but also harness this power for good?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's what I'm most interested in. And that's exactly what we'll be getting into.
Okay.
As we continue this deep dive,
Okay.
we'll be looking at specific strategies
Okay.
that Suleyman proposes for containing this waves, from technical safety measures to international cooperation, even creating a global commons for technology.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to unpack.
We do. Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time we kind of left off on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
We established that this wave of technology,
Yeah.
it's powerful,
Mm-hmm.
it's coming fast,
Yep.
and it's not going away.
Right.
So how do we deal with it?
That's the big question. And in his book,
Yeah.
Suleyman lays out some pretty compelling ideas.
Okay.
He says we need to shift our thinking
Okay.
from trying to stop the wave to figuring out how to ride it.
Okay, so we're ditching the dam,
Yeah.
and we're grabbing our surfboards,
Right.
but where do we even start?
Suleyman suggests we start by rethinking the role of nation states.
Okay.
Technology is blurring boundaries,
Yeah.
empowering individuals and organizations in ways we've never seen before.
It's like the Wild West out there,
Absolutely.
digitally speaking.
It is.
And it feels like the old rules don't apply.
Nope.
Look at cybertext.
Oh.
A group of hackers can just cripple a whole country's infrastructure from anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as AI gets more sophisticated,
Yeah.
the potential for disruption just keeps growing.
Right.
So Suleyman says that nation-states need to adapt.
Okay.
They need to find ways to cooperate,
Oh.
not just with each other, but with these new power players,
Sure.
tech companies, NGOs, even just individual innovators.
So it's less about countries fighting for dominance and more about everyone working together to manage this wave.
Exactly. He thinks we need a new model of global governance,
Okay.
one that recognizes how interconnected these technologies are
Yeah.
and how we all need to share responsibility.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
But is that even realistic?
Right?
Getting all these different countries with all their different interests
Yeah.
to work together.
It's a huge challenge for sure.
It feels like every country's just looking out for themselves.
Right. But Suleyman points to some historical examples that offer some hope, like the Montreal Protocol.
Okay.
That was a global agreement to phase out
Okay.
ozone-depleting substances
Yeah.
that required global cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually worked.
That's true.
Yeah.
But tackling climate change?
Right.
That's been a lot harder.
Much harder.
Yeah. And these technologies feel even more complicated
Yeah,
and potentially disruptive.
for sure.
Yeah.
They are. But the potential consequences of doing nothing
Yeah.
are even greater.
Right.
We can't let fear and distrust stop us from doing anything.
So we have to try to find some common ground.
Yeah, please try.
Okay, so let's say we can get all these countries together.
Right.
What kind of global governance are we talking about?
Suleyman suggests something like the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Okay.
Some clear rules and norms for developing and using AI, synthetic biology, robotics.
So basically a set of international agreements
Yeah.
that are specifically designed to prevent these technologies from being weaponized.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense, but how do you even enforce that?
That's the tricky part. But again, the focus has to be on shared interests.
Okay.
No country wants to see a global pandemic
Yeah.
caused by some genetically engineered pathogen or a cyber attack that shuts down the internet.
Yeah.
Those are threats that go way beyond borders.
Right. So you're saying emphasizing those shared risks
Yeah,
might be the key to getting countries to cooperate.
exactly. It's about framing these technologies not just as tools for competition,
Right.
but as potential existential threats that we need to manage together.
Okay. That's a strong argument.
Yeah,
But let's not forget about the companies.
right,
They're driving a lot of this innovation.
for sure.
And let's be real, their main goal is profit, not global safety.
Absolutely. And that's why Suleyman emphasizes the need for regulation.
Okay.
He's not saying we should stop innovation,
Right.
but we do need some guidelines to make sure it's done responsibly.
So things like safety protocols, ethical considerations, independent oversight.
Yeah, all of that needs to be there from the beginning.
So it's about finding that balance
Right,
between pushing things forward and protecting everyone.
exactly. And this is where governments really need to step up
Yeah.
and be proactive.
Right. We can't just trust companies to regulate themselves.
Yep.
But regulation alone isn't enough, is it?
It's not. It's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Suleyman also stresses the importance of transparency.
Okay.
We need to shed light on the development process,
Yeah.
make it more open to public scrutiny.
So no more secret AI labs or
Right.
algorithms we don't understand.
Exactly. We need to know what's being made,
Yeah.
how it's being made,
Mm-hmm.
and what the potential risks and benefits are.
Okay.
And we need to have access to that information,
Yeah.
not just governments and companies.
So basically making knowledge about these technologies more democratic.
That's the idea. Suleyman believes that informed citizens are crucial for ensuring these technologies are used ethically and responsibly.
So we've got international cooperation,
Yeah.
government regulation, and transparency.
Yep.
What else do we need for this containment strategy?
Accountability.
Yeah.
We need ways to hold both governments and companies accountable for what they do.
So who does that?
That's where civil society comes in.
So watchdog groups,
Yeah.
journalists, activists,
Right. All of them.
basically the public acting as a check on power.
Exactly. We need a whole ecosystem of people
Yeah.
who are dedicated to making sure these technologies are used for good.
Okay, so we've got a framework for containment.
It's starting to come together.
Yeah, but even with all those safeguards in place,
Yeah.
there's still the question of ethics.
Right.
How do we make sure these technologies are actually aligned with our values?
That's a question that keeps Suleyman up at night.
I bet.
And it's one we'll dig into
Okay.
in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We spent the last 2 parts really getting into the coming wave, exploring this incredible potential, but also the very real risks of all these new technologies.
Right, and we started mapping out this strategy for containment,
Yeah.
international cooperation,
Yeah.
regulations, transparency, accountability.
Right. Like a whole toolkit for navigating all this.
Yeah, whole toolbox.
Yeah. But it feels like we've kind of been dancing around the big question.
Which is?
How do we make sure these technologies are actually used for good?
Right.
How do we make sure we're not just building a future with all these shiny gadgets,
Yeah.
but a future that actually reflects
Our values.
Yeah, our values and what we want as humans.
That's the core of Suleyman's argument.
Okay.
Technology isn't good or bad on its own. It's a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used to build or destroy.
So how do we make sure that we're using these tools to build a future
Right.
that we actually want to live in,
Yeah.
one that benefits everyone,
Exactly, one that benefits all of humanity.
not just the select few?
That's right.
So how do we do that?
Suleyman thinks it starts with really understanding the ethical implications of these technologies. And he's not talking about some, abstract philosophy debate. He's talking about practical steps we can take.
Okay. So let's get specific. What does that actually look like?
One idea he has is technical safety.
Oh.
Building safeguards into these technologies right from the start.
Okay.
It's like designing a car with seat belts and airbags.
Yeah.
You're already thinking about the problems
Right.
and coming up with solutions.
So we're not just crossing our fingers and hoping for the best.
No.
We're actually thinking ahead.
We're building in safety from the ground up.
I like that.
And there were some pretty cool examples of this already happening.
Oh, yeah.
Like researchers are working on what they call critic AIs.
Critic AI.
Yeah, these are AI systems designed to watch other AIs.
Okay.
They're looking for biases, errors, even malicious intent.
So it's like an AI watchdog,
Exactly.
making sure the other AIs don't step out of line.
That's the idea.
I like that.
And this goes beyond AI, too.
Okay.
Suleyman says we need to be just as careful
Yeah.
with synthetic biology and advanced robotics.
Right.
Think of it like licensing nuclear power plants.
Okay.
You can't just build one anywhere you want.
There are a lot of rules, right?
Tons of regulations,
Yeah.
safety checks.
Yeah.
You need to prove you can handle that kind of power.
Responsibly.
Exactly. And Suleyman says that same principle should apply
Okay.
to these new technologies.
Makes sense.
It's not about stopping progress.
Right.
It's about making sure it's done safely and ethically.
But who gets to decide what's ethical?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I mean, values are different all over the world.
Right. Values are different for everyone.
So how do we agree on something globally?
That's where the idea of a global commons for technology comes in.
Global commons. Okay.
Yeah. Suleyman imagines a space where everyone can come together.
Okay.
Scientists, engineers, ethicists, policymakers, regular people.
From all over the world. Yeah, from everywhere to talk about these issues, share ideas, and find solutions.
So it's like a big global forum for tech.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we can figure out all these ethical dilemmas together.
Yeah, and try to find some common ground.
That sounds great in theory, but is that impossible?
Yeah.
I mean, the world feels so divided right now.
It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
But Suleyman says we have to try.
Yeah.
The stakes are too high to just ignore it.
I agree. We can't just sit here and wait and see what happens.
We
have to be a part of shaping this future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the main point of the coming wave.
Okay.
The future isn't set in stone.
Okay.
It's a choice we make.
So we can ride this wave towards something better.
Yeah.
Or we can let it destroy us.
It's up to us.
So what can we do? What can I do as just one person?
Suleyman says start by staying informed.
Okay.
Read books like his.
Keep up with the news.
Yeah. Follow the news. Talk about these issues with people.
Right. Knowledge is power.
But it's not just about knowing stuff. It's about thinking critically.
Okay.
Question things. Challenge your own biases. Demand transparency.
So we need to be more than just passive consumers.
We do.
We need to be active and engaged citizens.
Exactly. And we need to speak up.
Yeah.
Talk to your elected officials, support groups working on ethical AI.
Yeah.
Make sure your values are heard.
This is starting to feel less like a deep dive on tech
Yeah.
and more like a call to action.
It is a call to action.
Yeah.
The future is in our hands.
It's time to step up and shape the wave.
Well said.
And on that note, we'll leave you to think about your own role in this whole technological revolution that's happening.
It's a big one.
Yeah, thanks for diving deep with us.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.